Okay. I think we're good. All right. Hey, Mike, you said you wanted to lead off.
Yeah, I was just going to show something that I had made earlier.
Okay.
This is my
Oh, yeah, yeah. Your quad. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
and I didn't like the pink plastic, so I used it for this since it took a lot of plastic.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect plastic.
Was that one of
Uh,
those decisions you had something in particular in mind and then it didn't pan out and you ended up with a whole spool of pink plastic, or was that the only
uh,
stuff you could get, or?
I I just ordered pink one time and it didn't print well. So
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah,
So what do we
it has
got? What do we got? Is
yeah.
that a Bluetooth module standing up, or is that is that a nano?
So this is a nano BLE Sense.
Okay.
Uh, so it has Bluetooth, which I hook up with a with a Samsung Arduino
Uh
phone.
huh.
Not Arduino, but yeah. So I use an old phone to control it,
Got it.
and it has sensors in it and color sensors. And then this right here is the uh, motor driver board right
Mm-hmm.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I had three motors on each leg, which is
Yeah.
probably an overkill. But yeah, so I'm gonna strip this thing down, take off the legs, and put wheels on it,
Hmm.
and see if I can get something for the can six can.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking because it has a color sensor, so it can detect the can color, and
Mm-hmm.
I have uh, another sensor that I haven't used yet on here
Yeah. Yeah.
to detect the opening in the walls and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll probably need more sensors, but the processor on here, the Arduino Nano uh, BLE is a really powerful sensor processor. I'm running Python on it,
Mm. Okay.
and it has lots of good libraries, and I should be able to just pick off the legs, put the motor. I'm going to try to repurpose some of these servos as a wheel driver.
Okay. Well, to
Yeah.
make them continue, are you going to buy continuous rotation servos, or are you going to actually
I got a little
modify
bit.
those?
I think I'm
Huh?
going to hack them and see what
Okay.
happens.
Okay.
If they're not
Those.
powerful enough, I'll have to something more powerful.
Yeah. Well, those little ones are harder to hack because they're little. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I have successfully hacked those. Uh, and I've also hacked the big ones. And it just really depends on what you got. You know, if you've got these, they don't cost you any more to give them a shot and try. You
Right.
know,
Right.
Yeah,
but
so those are the plastic gear servos, right? The SG95s.
yeah,
SG. Yeah. The 9G. Yeah. SG
S,
90.
SG90s, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've
hmm,
had tons of those. They're really inexpensive. That's the advantage.
yeah,
Right. And they're not all good. So yeah.
No, very easy to break.
yeah.
Right. Right. Like I have some that had the jitter when I were using the legs were going like this continuously.
Yeah.
So I had to take them out and put another servo in it. It just
Mm-hmm.
had a bad control in the inside.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how to fix it, so I just got new ones.
Yeah, that was one of the disadvantages. I have had some of these SG90s in my Halloween skull robot, and it would kind of when I would run it, it would kind of buzz a little bit. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so I got lots of them to play with and break, and maybe I'll get some working. And
Cool. Sounds neat. You know,
had a
I made a reasonably successful line follower following using those modified SGs. It was
oh,
small.
yeah,
It was a little smaller than that robot you got, but it was, and I only used
yeah,
two. Uh,
right, right.
but it worked out. It worked out okay.
Yeah, and it has a. I put a big battery pack on it.
Yeah.
It's probably its
Well,
downfall. It's too heavy.
Probably. Yeah, you might want to cut that down a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Well, you can find out. That's one of the fun things of the hobby is, you learn these things when you do them. So, yeah.
That's
Cool.
probably why these legs are sort of work really hard because that big battery.
Yeah.
so, so I was thinking of using the Meekum wheels. Has anyone used those yet?
Yeah. Carl uses those on his main robot, I believe. And
Okay, yeah.
the team, Iron Rain, the ones we were showing that had presented recently, I believe they use that on their robot. If they don't, a lot of their competitors do. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I figured if I was going to invest in wheels, I'll invest in those.
yeah. Well, I don't know. It doesn't hurt to have a pair of just normal good wheels, that's something that you can put in and always slap on there if you want to. When I was starting off, one of the big quests I had was to find how to make cheap wheels because wheels were kind of expensive, I thought. I was trying to keep this hobby down to a reasonable cost. I've since given up, so I just let the pain flow now. But at the time, I'll see if I can find one of these early robots.
But I was thinking for the 6-can, if I had the Meekum wheels, I can just have the robot go back and forth to the cans instead of searching around. And that might make it a little easier. And then it can just twist around and go into the goal. So I'm looking forward to the omnidirectional ability of the wheels.
Yeah. So this one was, I don't know, can see if you can see this. Give me a second here. Okay. So this one was called a Little Wanderer. It was actually a club robot made back before the last club. This was the previous before the last club robot, and it was actually This is a Make magazine actually picked it up and did an article on it and actually made a kit out of it. And this is probably the only one that's left. But if you look in there, you can see it's using the larger continuous rotation. So, and like I said, if I dug around, I'm sure I could find one of my early robots where I had it with the little ones on it. But one thing, though, that I had said, you've got those, so don't mess with it. Don't worry about it. But if you were to buy more, I'd probably get the MG90s. So
I was thinking.
Yeah. This one actually had a very small Atmel chip on it. I think it was an Atmega 13 or 15, I can't remember. It only has 8 pins, and we used them all to drive this. Yeah, and we ran off 4 AA batteries. You can see that I was playing with encoders, an encoder thing, but this, right, at least in this where I left it, it doesn't have encoders on it. It just has the encoder disc on the inside of the wheels. And this worked. Yeah. I mean, this was really cool. It was with this particular bumper, it could wander around all over the area. It was a very nice robot, and some cool things about it was like you can see I think you can see how easy that flips around.
Oh yeah.
And the reason that it does that is because there's actually a ball bearing in there. And it has 2 plates. This is all laser cut. And this whole assembly, I actually use this assembly on other robots. And this is another, I guess it's pretty screwed up, but there's another ball bearing here, and this is an O-ring, turns out you could buy an O-ring that would fit around that bearing. It was just a couple of cents. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And the way this is set up right now, the way I can tell by looking at the sensors on it, it's being set up as a moth. So that's how it's working right now. So anyway, that was the previous, the last club. When was the last? When was the last robot? Is it 2006? Is the last club robot? Is it that old? No, it can't be that old.
I think maybe 15 or 16.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, yeah, it's 16, I think. And this one was the one before that. We were trying to make like a club-based robot every so often.
I was just looking at the MG90 Metal Gear servo prices on Amazon, and if you buy like a group of 8, you can get them for like $3 each now.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Well, I was going to talk about the Arduino Nano BLE Sense, which is processor there, and it has LiDAR in it, and it has RGB light sensors.
Whoa.
And the LiDAR works pretty good unless there's something black or a window or something like that. It can't see windows and it can't see black, so it bumps into everything. So
yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. So, okay. Anything else, Mike?
Yeah, I was just showing what I'm going to be working with.
Well, that sounds great. And will be interesting to see how you get on it. Sounds like you're on an interesting project. Like I say, it reminds me a lot of when I started out on these. I did almost exactly the same thing. Because like I said, I was trying to keep everything so cheap. And I learned how to make wheels. I learned how to put rubber on wheels and all of this other stuff. And now I just buy it. But
the sensors and stuff are really great. So
yeah,
exactly what I need. And I'm not going to make a Meekin wheel. I've seen some people say they can make them, but they're usually not very good.
Yeah, I agree with you. In fact, talk to Carl. He might be able to tell you a good source for them. I know you can get them on the sites that do FTC. Those are the high school teams, robotics teams. But I don't know.
On Mouser.
Probably, you probably can. And
lots of them are on Amazon.
Yeah.
About $8 each or something.
Well, that's not too bad. That's not too bad for a wheel. God, I wonder why I was so cheap. Man, if it's like you can get these things for $8, why was I, fighting it so hard? But anyway, that's the way it was. Anyway, so I was second on queue, and I've got these boards that Ray had recommended, or Ray brought our attention to them. I won't say he recommended them. He brought our attention to them and said he was getting some, so I got some. And I've had a lot of trouble with them so far.
Really?
So I'm really interesting to see. Well, when I try to run all of the really, I have no problem running Hello World or any of the ones where the it's just using the display, having it change colors and everything. And here's the one. Let's see, can I get it to show up without it being whited out?
Yeah, I think if you hold it like at an angle to the camera, it tends to do a little bit better. You don't get the reflection.
Okay, so anyway, there's a box. Here's one of the boxes that's on it. And if I hit OK here, you can see it actually changed. So, I'm getting it to work. That's not the problem. But the one that does all of the fancy widgets,
Mm-hmm.
it keeps coming in as being too big.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, I can't get it to, and so I've been trying to figure out exactly what it's going. I guess
Yeah.
that's using the LVGT,
Right. Yeah.
and that's actually where all the widgets and stuff come from. Very
Mhm.
interesting. It's open source. It's LVGT. It's worth looking for other projects if you're using one of these types of displays. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what you. I think other than just showing you to touch them, there's. Let's see if you can see. So the top one is a table, and the next one down is a calendar. And if you slide it, there's an array of buttons. And if you
Mhm.
slide it below that, there's a checkbox and a slider.
Yep.
And an option box. So there's quite a few here, and then they also have like a menu to show you how you can do different things. And so it's a
Yeah.
good this is probably worth the cost, but the ones that I wanted was the ones that have like the circles that close and open and whatnot, and
Yeah.
I can't get that to fit in yet. Now I'm not saying that it's not my problem. It could be very easily my problem,
Yeah.
but right now having some sort. So have you actually loaded that without any issues?
No, I haven't. I haven't played around with it yet. The I kind of wonder. Did they say anything about using an SD card? Is that?
Uh, they have not for those libraries. No, I
Oh
don't
no.
think so.
Okay.
I don't think
Hmm.
so.
Um, what are you using? Using like um, Visual Studio to compile stuff?
No, because their instruction manual is an Arduino environment. I thought I'd
Okay.
start with that, and I
Yeah.
used the one thing that since I'm not that privy to ESP32s.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can show this. Where is it? Okay. Well, this is one that didn't work, so I'm not gonna. It's not. Uh, Let me do a share here.
Yeah, I know they can have different size flash on them, and some of them have like an outline where you can add more flash.
Yeah.
But
Well, what are the things that
I would
I'm.
think they would tell you if you needed to do
Okay, so
that.
here's the one that I was just showing you, and it's loaded up. Now, two things that I noticed. Dang, it takes a long time. It takes
Oh, to
a
compile it? Yeah.
long time to compile. I mean,
Mm.
we're talking about minutes, and I'm just surprised at that. And
Mm-hmm.
here's where I think, okay, when you bring in all of their libraries, the one thing that I'm not
Yep.
familiar with is the partition scheme. And I was
Okay.
trying to find different partition screens to see if I could find one
Yep.
which would load, but it doesn't seem to really make much difference. So I'm actually changing back to their
Oh,
default. So uh, anyway, that's any insight into that?
I'd have to try it, Doug.
Okay,
I haven't explored it yet. But
okay.
yeah, I know there's okay, the other like the board, did you use the recommended whatever they recommended for the board? Because that'll pull up different configurations for just about everything. And there's the um, I think one of them is the Vroom, VROOM. Um, I think there's like a couple others, um, and
Well,
there's even different revisions of hardware. I think most of those were. It's the I call it the Dowdy 6. It's WD, I think either 06 or 6 for the hardware, and that was one of the dual core ones. They did come out with a single core one.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that one is the S3, but I'd have to look it up. I'm not familiar with
Well, I
all
think
their.
I went over that with Rick up in he lives in Denver, and I believe this is a 3. I think this board comes with a 3 on it.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah, and so that's a possibility. But they told you to use the ESP32 development module. They did
Yeah.
not tell you to use. There's a gazillion possible
Right.
ones you could use, but
Yep.
that's the one that they're saying to use. So
Yeah.
I just used that one.
Yep.
So that was their recommended one.
And it just comes up and it says not enough insufficient memory or something for.
It's a. Yeah, I wish I had left that on there. It literally, okay, the widget one comes short 200 and something bits in the data segment, so just barely misses. And then the second example they have misses it by 2K, and then the third one is the one I just showed you, which works. And then the fourth one, they tell you, well, it doesn't work, don't worry about it. And then I think the fifth one I haven't tried yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I don't like the way they did that too. So, instead of having like 5 examples, what they have is they have one example with 5 options that you have to uncomment and comment out.
Oh.
But anyway, it's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, when I was using it, I was just using it. I think I was actually using the Adafruit libraries, and just and that was the WT 32 SCO1. That's the thing I had on my wrist,
Mm-hmm.
and that seemed to work fine. You just had to get the right pin definitions for the connection between the processor and the LCD and the processor and the touch screen if you were using the touch screen.
The other thing that's a little concerning is there's only a few GPIOs exposed. I mean, literally, I think it's 3. The rest of them are
all used.
Yeah. So
or not brought out. Yeah.
Yeah, or not brought out. I think the real answer is they're not brought out. So anyway. But it is a nice display and a nice board.
Yeah, that was one of the nice things about the other one, the WT32. It had actually 2 40-pin connectors on the back of it that you could plug into a Raspberry Pi if you wanted. So, just a lot more I/O accessibility. And there's a later version of the WT32 SCO1. It's the plus, but it looks a lot different. It doesn't. It got rid of the 2 40-pin connectors. It seems like they use a bunch of connectors, and they they don't provide something to plug into it, with pigtails or something. So the second one that I bought, it was actually, same as the first one with the 2 40-pin connectors on it, because I didn't want to mess with trying to find, weird pitch connectors that,
Yeah, no, I got a bunch of those. Yeah. One other thing I did find that might be of use to people. These files, in this particular piece I got from China, has a lot of if you actually look at the code, has a lot of Chinese comments in it. Okay? And so I found a procedure, a real easy procedure to get rid of those with minimal work. And it might be something everybody knows already to do, I don't know, but for me, it was a real, it was something that I learned in the process of doing this. So, all of you probably know that you can go file // and then give the path to a particular file, and it'll open up on a browser. Everybody knows that, right? Okay. So what you do is you bring it into the browser, and then you go and you right click and do a Google Translate, and it translates everything for you, all the comments, everything. It occasionally won't translate a comment, so there's a step 2. But so then what you do is after you've hit translate, you do a select all, and you put the file into, I use WordPad Plus, but whatever editor you use. When I'm doing this, I just put it in WordPad Plus because I like the way it colors things. And you just mark the language as C++. You get all your colors back, all of your syntax, spacing, and everything. And then you save it under a new name, until you check it out. And sure enough, it gets rid of 99% of those Chinese comments for you. Now, where it seems to not do that is if you have something that's something like I2C Chinese. All right, so it's a mixed English Chinese phrase. Seems to have a little bit of trouble with that. And but then the second step, when you find, is you slide through it until you find, well, okay, instead of 100 Chinese comments, I've got 2. You just open up another window and do a copy paste into a Chinese to English translator, and it'll copy, that works, and then you just copy it back into your file and do a save, and you've gotten rid of all the Chinese comments. It also works with other languages too, but the one I ran into was Chinese, because you really have no clue. If it's in Spanish, you can probably kind of like, I don't know, okay, I see what he's doing. But when it's in Chinese, you have no idea. Okay, so
have you actually read the translated comments? Do they make sense, or
oh yeah, they're all very, very, they're just like English comments. I mean, they're there are things like, mode 1 is this, mode 2 is this, this is where you calibrate, this is selecting, it's just real. I haven't seen anything that's bizarre.
Yeah.
And it's so simple. I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. So I thought if anybody might want to use that trick when they get either that or something off the internet, which is in a foreign language. So. Anyway.
Yeah, I know the later version of the Mac Stock 2. Just about everything is in Chinese, and I try to do as much translation as I could, but it seems like a lot of it stays Chinese. So I'm not really certain what's going on there, but why it doesn't translate or it can't. But I'll have to experiment with that.
Yeah, like I say, it works. It really, it worked so well. I was just like, flabbergasted. I said, that's that simple, and it works.
Yeah. So. Yeah, the reason why I asked that is, like, you look at some of the stuff on AliExpress and it's in English, but it's a real rough translation, and you're like, you're reading through it and it's like, I don't understand a thing you're trying to tell me there. It's like, it's words that are not the right words, not the right order, Yeah.
Well, like I said, at least on this project, this board, because every one of their files has you can look at their files and you can see they took an open source file and then they modified it, and you can even see the styles of the different people who modified it, because some of them use // comment and others use / *//
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so obviously several different people were working on it and they didn't clean it up afterwards. But so cool. All right. Anybody else got anything? How about you, Harold? You usually got something to say.
Yeah, first of all, about that speed you're talking about on that, if you may want to give, and I think we've had this discussion before, and I can't remember where you came down on it. The Arduino IDE 2.0, I found, and generally it's way faster at compiling stuff than the 1.8 stuff. I don't know why. Hadn't looked into it. I just it's been I don't know, a month or so since I actually compiled anything in it. But I found it way faster.
Oh, that's cool.
And the other thing is I've just been poking around doing some stuff, trying to make a bot balance and finding batteries, figuring out what batteries are and not, and doing a little 3D modeling and some printing and stuff. I probably should have more, and I probably do, but I don't really know where to go at that moment. I don't really know.
Hey, Doug, I just thought of something. Did you, like for all the libraries that they use, did you make sure you had the latest ones?
No.
Go.
I used whatever they had in their download.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was going. That was one of the things I was going to try. I was going to take and create another make this library old and bring down the same libraries and see if I can get them updated.
Yeah.
Cause
that may do it.
That would help. I mean, anything that would help the compile time. It was just, like I said, that was like, is literally go in and get a cup of coffee and come back. Type thing. Not really very fast at all. Now, it could be the setup. And Harold, on your question is, the only reason I used the 1.8 was because that's what they suggested. And now that I'm kind of where I am, I'm going to actually start trying to use Platform IO. I want to move over to that, and I don't really want to stay here, but I wanted to see it do things.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves with almost every open source project that I've used so far or try to do is the as-built solution doesn't work.
Yeah.
Effectively, and maybe we can get it to work a little bit or whatever, but it's not. Well, maybe I'm setting my expectations too high.
Yeah.
But the as-built just doesn't do what it as advertised. And so I guess we get to play with it and do some extra stuff, and so I'm just gonna come on, man. You can do some stuff, and a lot of the stuff does, like this. A lot of the stuff from the Adafruit and the Spark runs and their kind of things with their learn stuff. That does work. But the general as-built stuff, where I'm picking stuff off the web, doing some stuff, most of the time I am left lacking. Left wanting. But
it looks like we're going to get a demo. Looks like Jack is going to show us the machine here.
Oh, fantastic! Hey, I see Jim. Hey, Jim, how you doing? See, Jim's on the line with us tonight.
Okay, hi, Jim.
He's all blacked out, but he's one of my Twitch stream
kind
of people, and fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, he's also from Canada. You see the Calgary.
Oh, yeah, cool. Well, I wish Pat was on. We'd have two Canadians.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Hey, Jack, are you going to show us something? You're muted.
We'll see. It was working for the past week, but then these past couple of days it's been a little finicky for some reason. So, like right now, I'll let you guys know.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. Hey, Jim, do you have anything you want to talk about? Okay. All right. Anybody else got anything to talk about?
Well,
I'd
I'll
say
show,
Jim's in a dark place right now.
Yeah.
I'll show Harold the fact that yes, I'm starting to print.
Oh, look at you.
Well,
Look at you, John. Bring it on.
So, and you're right, modifications a little bit. I discovered that the one motor I have didn't fit this, so I modified it a little bit. So I chopped it down a little bit there. And unfortunately, the reels that you printed didn't fit these motors, so I'm going to have to enlarge the reel a little bit. But this is the reel that normally fits on this. So it's like, so the reel eventually will be a tad bigger than this when it gets finished.
Is that the one that is part of the?
Is that one that I'll show you the screen of how it in theory would look at the end.
So is it a balancing robot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it eventually will be. So yeah, it's this one. But right now, it's without the covers. So this little cover here isn't there. What you're seeing is that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Back. So what you're seeing is, well, there's the base. And then, as I said, the reels unfortunately doesn't fit the motor that I have. So I'm having to enlarge that by 1.3 is what I'm doing. This reel will be a little bigger. So that's the changes so far. But yes, I'm working for it. So once I get all the parts together,
Cool.
we'll see how the code works at ours. But yeah, that's a work in progress that I'm on right now.
So it looks like it's held together by a threaded rod.
Well, what they did was, see that part there, the black, really was printed. But right now, I didn't even worry about printing that at all. I just said for that part because trying to print these circle little round things or that it's not that simple.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the way he aligned it. Now I can in software move it so that when you compile your G code, that flat surface here gets printed on the base, but notice how he has it here. It's on a point. So, it's not the best thing to print. So at this stage, I was like going with the idea of, I'll get back to me so you can see better.
Why did he make it hex?
Well, who knows? But in my case, you'll notice I just, went with a plain old rod with screws.
Nuts and bolts, yeah.
Bolts. Use a bolt to get the separator there going.
Yeah.
Now, I can come up with my own. I may design that to fit, be a nice squarish type thing, but we'll see. But yeah, there's the base, and that's one of these. That's one of these, typical little motors. Key is not to have it on the back because, the motor I was going to originally put on it. Where is one of those? The more I was originally going to put on it, well, I didn't have the back. Well, actually, no. Where did I put it? Anyway, the one motor I had, unfortunately, has this little part on the top, so it was in the way. So hence, that's why I went to the the other mower by a different company, even though it's basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
But the catch was, yeah, and that yeah. So basically, this is the catch was this though was a little bigger. So hence that's why the reel is going to be 1.3 in size.
Yeah.
So when you print out right now, that little hole does not fit the, the axle of the motor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but the reel that came with the motor does fit. But you compare that motor the reel size to that reel size.
Yeah.
That's why I said. So
So
yeah,
is the hole too small?
well on the reel, yeah. If I use that reel that you print, and if I
Yeah.
use the reel that I have that fits the motor, then what happened is you basically have about that much clearance
Mm,
there, which it's probably enough.
yeah.
Probably not. If you tilt it. No, yeah, tilt it, John.
No, there's yeah. I mean, it would
Tilt,
be
tilt,
very
tilt, tilt it, and you'll see that
right.
it'll catch
Oh,
the
it
corner.
would catch it yeah, it
Yeah.
would have to be a pretty good level program for it to work. Hence, bigger reels are better.
Yeah.
But so I'm in the process of printing bigger reels.
Okay. Cool.
I was
So
gonna say you could take if you had a
oh,
piece
I
of
can
metal
mail it. And, yeah, I
yeah,
can
the same
mail it.
size
But
as your shaft, you could just
yeah, I can mail it. But it's just easier to print another
print
one.
the bigger one.
Because if I already know the scale up, I already printed the axle itself out and discovered that 1.3 was the magical number
Hmm.
for it.
So, are you just changing the hub, or are you changing the whole wheel?
Well, the real hub is that when you get printed, it comes as a one set thing. I'll go back to.
Now, the smaller wheels, that's maybe the Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down philosophy. It can only tip so much. So it doesn't.
The
Yeah.
it prints as one set.
Yeah,
There you can
but
see how.
the are you gonna make the diameter 1.3?
Well, no,
That's a
that's
lot of
the
bit,
scale. I'm
huh?
scaling up basically 0.3. So that way, when you 0.3, that becomes a little bit larger, that hole there for the
Yeah.
axle on the motor. And that's the difference between the two motors, effectively.
Oh, okay. So you're just making the whole point 0.3 bigger.
Right.
You're not changing the
No,
wheel.
no, I am changing the whole thing because by definition, this is all connected together. But I don't really
Yeah.
care if the wheel's a little bit bigger
Hmm.
in my mind. I may have to change the code now to reflect
Hmm.
that, you know, because there is probably, yeah, there's one number in that code that's probably, well, it takes into account the diameter of your wheel, I imagine.
Hmm.
One of those three variables.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. You don't use Design Spark Mechanical, right, John? You
Well, in
use
this case, I was using the slicer that
n-
hits.
no, but I mean, are you?
No, this is came directly from them.
Oh, okay. So you're not okay.
That came from this file. That's why I said
Hmm.
all these parts. Now I did, use one program to. Well, I used the one program, which I forget offhand, but like the one part, the base, for example,
Hmm.
which is this, which you really don't see, unfortunately. But on this, for example, when it's print whole, this goes way up there, and that was interfering with my was going to interfere and made it harder for it to connect the wires. So I basically chopped this down a little bit, down to like about there.
Hmm.
so it's not as tall. In the case of the one, yeah, I'll show you the comparison of the two for that. So yeah, comparing, as I said, you can see here, how compare that. So I chopped that off in the case of that one, so I would have more clearance up here. But reality is, if you were to print as is, you can see it would look like that on the border. So yeah, I did some modifications, but just because. So yeah, ideally I was going to use one of these moors like this, but on the top it had real, sensors so I could, tell the position of the moor itself. But so that's why I got effectively two types going right now. But I discovered on that one, the more I got, it had a shaft come out both ends.
Yeah.
Hence, on the design that they had, is, there's where, the shaft got cut off on this one, effectively. So, I would have to drill a hole into this, which I sort of did. But, see, originally I was going to drill a hole there so the shaft goes.
Gotcha.
But in the meantime, I did find them. As I said, I found this motor, but the catch was the reel didn't fit. So trade-offs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought all those plastic motors had the same size shafts, but I guess not.
Nope. Nope.
Nope.
Well, this one didn't.
They're all close, but
Right.
they're not all the same.
So yeah, this one, the motors came nicer with it as a kit, and it fit nicely, as you can see. But the catch was the printed one had to go 0.3 bigger. So yeah, even as we're speaking, it's printing away, I hope. So next week I'll show you the bigger bigger reels on that.
James, you said you raised a hand?
So he's ready?
Yeah, I got a couple things you guys might be interested in.
Sure. Wait a minute. Are you finished, John?
Yes.
Okay.
As I said, baseline printed, and hopefully you can get more feedback, and hopefully, we'll see if Harold beats me or not.
Okay, James.
Well, the way I'm going, I ain't beating nobody, John.
Oh, wow.
I just we'll see. That sounded defeatist, didn't it? I need to be more positive. I'm positive, John, you'll probably beat me. How's that?
I have too many hobbies.
Can you guys see this monstrosity?
Yes.
Yes. It's coming along.
No, this was a project that I started last year, and I'll explain to you why I started it. We got on here as a Mega, couple breadboards.
Hold it up a little bit, James. We can't see what you're pointing at.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yep.
Got a Mega. This is a Nano RP 2040 power supply. This is a Cyclone motor driver. This is a RoboClaw 15 amp.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a receiver for a Spectrum transmitter. So I can take command of the robot by flipping a switch on Spectrum, and I feed that into the processor, and the processor looks at that and says, okay, am I in control, or do you want to steer this thing? So I can stop that or guide it around.
Yeah.
So at one time, it's a differential drive, and can you guys see the gearing on that?
Yeah. Looks like 1-to-1. Is it 1-to-1?
No, this is I forget what the ratio is.
Oh,
it's
yeah, but
slow.
I mean, the bevel gears are 1-to-1, right?
No, they are not.
Oh, okay.
They're either 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 or something like that.
Okay.
And what that does for you is it slows it down and gets you more ticks, since you're reading it off the motor end for the distance traveled. Anyway, this
Are those
started
pretty
out.
tight?
I'm sorry.
Are those pretty tight, or can you wiggle the wheel back and forth?
Oh, they're real tight.
Oh,
And the
they
nice
are.
thing,
Okay.
the reason I do that, Ray, it takes all the lateral play out of it. These are all ball bearings that this rides on and the collar on each side. So you have no movement this way. So in odometry, one of the equations depend on reading that distance between the wheels. And I think I got parts dropping off of this. Anyway, so these stay fixed. This started out as a 4-wheel drive unit. The wheels, and I didn't have the caster on there before. This all came about because of the guy that's on the drone bot workshop. I forget his name. So about a year ago, he says, I'm going to start a project if anyone is interested in following along. So he proposed, this is a base, had 4 wheels on it, 2 drive wheels, and on the back it had 2 wheels that are called omnidirectional, and you can glide back and forth. Well, I kind of knew it wasn't going to work because I live on a slab and it's their house and it happens to be new, but it's not perfectly flat. So you hit spots in there where the whole 3 of these wheels are touching, and maybe one of your drive wheels is not touching. So I said, this ain't never going to work. So I ripped that all out, put in this here thing, and on the top of this unit, he had grandiose plans where he says, okay, we're going to have all these different shells that are fit in these spaces here, and we'll have a LiDAR unit and stuff up on the top. Anyway, he ran into trouble with his wheel things, and it just petered out, and he left everybody hanging dry. So I went ahead and built this on my own, got it running, and I kind of gave up on it because I was tired of it banging into my furniture, because this is all aluminum. You know, so I got tired of it banging into the furniture and leaving marks. So that now sits in the closet waiting to be taken apart and use the parts for something else.
Yeah, it looks like you got some bucks in that platform.
Hey, James. Well,
yeah,
that's a really nice looking platform. Why don't you just put a bumper on it?
I'm sorry.
Just put a bumper on it.
I could do that.
That would be instead of tearing it all apart. I mean, that's a.
That's one of. If you guys got any examples of bumpers, I could certainly use help in that area. How do you construct a bumper and what kind of material and so forth? One of the robots that I use they use these switches for a bumper.
Yeah. That's not bad.
And they work okay, but it really helps if you got your robot really slowed down, or else you wind up putting in new switches, and because it just bangs the hell out of it.
Yeah, you need some cushion.
Yeah, I do. My question to you, do you really need a mechanical bumper? Can't you use time of flight sensors on that if you had like 3 of them, and you know what I'm talking about?
Well,
yeah.
Everybody. Okay, I think the consensus in the club is that the bumper is the sensor of last resort.
Okay.
In a perfect world, you never hit the bumper. Okay, but you will hit the bumper because there'll just be some situation that you don't know about that's your sensors won't see it, and you'll hit the bumper. Like for example, let's say you had ultrasonic sensors, and you were driving towards a cloth sofa. There's a good chance you won't see it. Okay, and so that, or actually you wouldn't see the surface of it. You'd see the wood casing inside of the couch, and so you might bump into something like that. And the other thing is coverage. You know, you want to have, don't want to have big holes in your bumper, or obviously it'll fail when you have that. A lot of people try to get left and right sides of bumpers because they want to use some intelligence with the bumper. Otherwise, if I hit something on the right side, I want to turn to the left. Or if I hit something on the left, I want to turn to the right. If I hit
Right.
both things, I want to back up.
Back up, right?
Yeah, see, so coverage is a big deal. You know, David Anderson's a big fan of large bumpers to cover most of them.
Yeah, so
Yeah, some of those things are those things are a little bit hard to do because,
He actually
The-
heats and molds acrylic.
yeah, and, you know,
well, that Ray, that's what I would just I would find hard to do is bending acrylic and
very
You know,
easy, very
is it?
easy, very easy.
Kitchen
if you-
oven, plenty hot enough.
But you don't even need that. You can use the heat gun. So, Ray's right. You can use it in an oven, but your wife might not be real excited about that. So one of the things, though, if you look, we have a Club Robot build series on DPRG clips. That's the YouTube channel. And if you go to
I saw
that, and if you look at that, one of those is building a bumper.
I saw that you have hinges across the top and the thing works. It's able to move and then hit a switch
Yeah,
behind the plate.
right.
And that looked pretty good. I'm in the process of building a robot, and it was actually one to build a round one.
Mhm.
But now I'm kind of looking at a square one because I just figured it'd be easier to put the bumpers on rather than have to bend the bumper around
Mhm.
the body, you know. So
Well,
I think
That-
this stuff was actually molded foam. It's a tube, and I don't know if you can see there. It's
hold it sideways so we can
put
cut
it
it.
sideways, will you, Ray?
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's just a tube, and
Okay.
or sheet foam.
Yeah.
You know, wrapped up, works pretty good. You know,
But
as
did you use a switch
save your
with
furniture
that?
legs.
Do you use a switch with
You know.
that to say I hit something back up robot?
Yeah, the
Or that's just
on
protection
my
for the robot?
say that again.
Or is that just protection for the robot?
Some of both.
Well, more protection for your furniture,
yeah.
but yeah, you can like roll up several layers of it, and
Yeah.
you know there's different weights of the foam that you can get. So you know some compress more easily than others and that kind of stuff. But
Got a question for you guys. Did you ever see one where they use a laser across the front of the robot, and when that beam is broke,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
show you.
if you don't hit the receiver or the transmitter on the far
Yeah,
extreme,
well, there's that problem too.
Yeah.
Anyway,
got to always line up so whatever you're going to hit is right in the middle.
that appeared to be a big problem that I haven't thought through yet.
Yeah. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, so here is one. Okay, this was a test robot I made, and it actually,
Oh, nice, nice.
you know, this is actually got inside of it some rubber bands. So what, and it has like a I don't know what a flag. So when you hit this, what the impact is, the flag cuts a beam. All right, and you can use very inexpensive. Okay, I don't know if you can tell from this, and I don't know if you're familiar with a lot of sensors, but this is an infrared sensor
Right.
in which I have taken off the LEDs, both the LED, the IR LED, and the other one that's the actual detector. I've taken
Right.
them off and made a little 3D bracket and put it in the back here. Yeah, and you can't really see much. This is one of those things that once you get it together, you can't see anything.
I,
But
I understand the principle you're doing it on.
yeah,
If a guy, did you print those bumpers themselves
yes,
on 3D printer?
yeah. 3D printers are when you're trying to do something that you're not you're really just kind of experimenting around. There's nothing like a 3D printer to get quick results.
Exactly.
And so that's and so this is the base unit of that. Let me see if I can find one of these.
Hey, Doug, he went to go get a drink.
See these right here?
Right.
That's the sensor I was telling you I took the two LEDs off of. And then I ran them off and made little brackets for each LED and then put a flag between them. And these things are very inexpensive. I want to, well, with inflation, I don't know what they are, but they used to be less than $1 a piece. And so I use them a lot when I need just a small interrupter or something like that. Very simple to use. They have a built-in comparator to make the transition very sharp and add a little hysteresis. And I mean,
Was the
even
on
have,
the
huh?
on the bumper the green bumper that you showed me before?
Yes.
Is that springs that are behind it? That seems to be
No,
where
that's literally rubber bands.
rubber bands. Okay.
Yeah, they came off of asparagus or broccoli packages from the grocery store.
What I was envisioning when I make a bumper is use a thing like this,
Yeah,
and that's called an optical interrupter,
right.
and it's an LED on one side in infrared, one side bulb, and a detector on the other side. If you cut that, it goes from high to low to high.
That's what I've made out of these.
And that's essentially what you made on that.
Yeah, and the reason I did it this way, as I used to that, is it just these are so cheap, and I have interrupters. I could have used them, but they also, if you're not careful, the one you showed actually had a pretty good throat, but a lot of them don't have a very good throat.
Yeah.
And so you have to.
Adafruit sells these, by the way.
Yeah. So I'm just saying is the way. So if you do it with the way I was telling you, you can adjust it to whatever you want to do. And I probably have them. I probably have them about that far apart. About that far apart.
Okay.
So that way the flag can be anywhere. It takes some of the stuff out. What do you got there, Ray?
Oh, do you remember? It was a robot builders night out. Some guy came by and dropped a cardboard box load of these things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's one there.
Yeah. And it actually has a, the opto interrupter, and it's got
Probably a Smith trigger to shape the pulse that comes out.
Yes.
right, yeah. And actually, I think they did it with an LM358, and this one looks like a quad comparator.
It's
so,
a comparator. Yeah.
right. And it's got even has a little LED for power, and it had a 3-prong connector on the back, and he had the connectors and everything. It was perfect.
Yeah,
But
that's the other thing
what I was
on
going to
these
say
guys
about
like that too. They have LEDs to tell you, one, you got power, two, that you've actually activated it or not activated it. And the one that Race
Right.
does the same thing, but the problem with that one is you had to be there.
yeah,
I mean,
he had like this pretty good sized cardboard box, hundreds of these things, I think.
yeah.
And we were like, "Whoo!" So anyway, the what I was going to ask you, Doug, on with your thing, you trigger very quickly, right? But your bumper still travels or can travel inward, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's why that particular bumper that I showed, I was experimenting with the rubber bands to provide some of the give that you were saying to do with foam. Okay, so I mean, foam can do the same thing, but I was trying, I really wanted to see, I saw this design, not exactly like what I did. He didn't do, he used switches instead of interrupters, but the whole idea of using rubber bands is that you can hit it, if it's right, you can hit it from any direction and it'll trip. Where with a switch, sometimes you have to hit it in a certain way, and there'll be dead spot. You can hit the bumper, but the bumper won't trigger the switch.
That's right.
And so you have to, you just have to. That's why I was playing with it. It turned out the design is very heavy, and I don't know if you saw that. That robot, I believe, has a big counterweight on the back to try to compensate for it. So otherwise,
The other thing I got, if anyone is interested, this is a TITSI 4.1, and it's this is a board that this plugs into the board, a development board that has screws in the top. So rather than plug your wire in the pins, you can put it in a screw and get more of a secure. I had TITSI 4.1. Anyway, if someone's interested in that, it's the company that makes that is called TREEDIX.com.
Yeah. Can you put the link in the chat? That'd be helpful, James.
Yeah, I could if I knew how.
Okay. Well, if you look in the right bottom of your screen, there should be like two people sitting next to each other with a number 15 or 16. Okay. If you click on that, it'll open up a side panel which you'll call in-call messages.
Don't you want to hit the one with the little box with the
is it a little box?
With the writing on it?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. The next one over. Thank you, Ray.
Sure.
Okay, I don't want to hang this up. I'll go ahead and mess with that when I get off here.
Yeah.
The last thing I got to show you guys. My son gave me some cash for Christmas.
Oh.
And I think I told you guys that I'm interested at some point is taking the dive into ROS 2 and SLAM and all of the rest of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I am currently in the process of putting this together.
Oh, wow.
And that's probably
Turtlebot. That's Turtlebot 3 or 2?
Cool. Turtlebot. Awesome.
Yeah, and
3.
they make two of these. One is called the Waffle. That's a bigger one and more expensive. This is called the Burger. And
by the way, you can 3D print all of those waffles, all those plates, because I know I've got a bunch over here waiting to do something with them because I was thinking I was going to be cool too. And guess, one of these days I might be cool, but I really doubt it.
So a couple of neat things about this here. This is the base, and it's run by servos. The servos they use on it happen to be called Dynamix servos. They got the processor in the inside that helps with position of the wheels and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. The next stage up is this is got the controller board, and it's got an ARM Cortex M7 is the little guy here that does the business in there, and everything plugs into these sockets. And it came with a LiDAR unit that goes on the top. The only thing that I'm going to change on it really, it came with, maybe I won't if you guys say it's not a good idea. Come with a Raspberry Pi 3 B plus or whatever the model is. I'd like to put a Raspberry 4 in there, and I happen to have one that has 4 megabytes, so I may substitute that in there. Anyway, so that's my plans, is to get this together. I went through, they offered 2 really good courses on ROS 2, and ROS 2 is really making a lot of strides in what they're doing. I went through the first course, and it was on Udemy, and I'm just starting on a second course, which has to do with the SLAM, the navigation stack, they call it, and putting all that stuff in there and so forth. Anyway, that's where I'm headed on that. So
Sounds cool. Sounds really
Yeah.
cool.
got a lot of stuff that I got to learn.
Good.
Hey, James, I had a question about that metal platform that you showed us. Who manufactured that?
This one here, Rick,
Yeah.
is that the one you're talking about? Okay, you guys, if you haven't been to their site, you need to go to the site. It's called Servo City.
Oh, okay.
And John, when you was talking about the wheels that you was printing and stuff, a path that you might consider is those shafts that come out on those gears are normally either 3 millimeters or 4 millimeters or 5 millimeters and so forth. Servo City in that group, they sell a hub in all those different sizes, and it'd be very easy. They got a full round hub, and they got what they call a D-shaped hub that you can use on that motor. So what I would do is put a hub on that motor, and it's got a set screw on, so you could do a little tightening of that set screw, and then those wheels that you printed out, the part that's in the center, either make a plate that bolts to it, adapter plate, or make that solid with the holes that match your hub, and you'd be all set. And so Servo City has all that stuff. They got a full line of electronics and wheels and motors and all that stuff. They got a lot of stuff. And then they got structural elements, or what they call motion elements, and so forth. And they actually got 2 parts on there. One is imperial measurements, and the other one is metric, and I tend to go to the metric, and I think that's called Gold Vital or BILDA or something like that. It's another company that we're going with. So that is a good resource to get your parts. The other one that when it comes to wheels, yes, this is a robot I built, and again, I use this here in construction, and this is all Servo City parts. The motor, the gearing, this here bracket, and everything. And you can make that as a unit. And the nice thing about it, you can unbolt this whole unit from a robot base and move it over to another base without taking any of this apart. It's it's like a power pack, or call it what you want on it. Anyway, Servo City does that. Now the wheels that are on here, I like the wheels because they're real narrow, and you know exactly where the center of the wheel is, rather than a wide wheel that helps on the odometry. Now these wheels are all standard bowling pattern, and there's a hub on the inside of this, and you can get this hub for different size shafts. Plus, you can get these wheels in different sizes from 80 millimeter clear down to 40 millimeter. So you can size your wheels whatever one. So the thing I would take a look at if you're going to build some, look at the stuff from Servo City when it comes to motors and stuff. But the wheels, I would go for Pololu.
Yeah. Polo.
And they make these wheels in all different sizes.
Yep.
So those two sources, they got you pretty well covered on wheels and hubs and so forth, both in metric and in imperial measurements. So
Cool. Ah, Ted, is that a new base there?
that's all I got, Doug.
Okay. Hey, Ted.
You're muted, Ted.
Ted, you're muted. You're teasing and you're muted.
No, I don't think he was muted. I think his microphone just doesn't work.
Oh no. Ted, you can't do that to us. You can't tease us like that and not. You're gonna have to hold up a sign or something. Oh, he's out. I think he'll. Oh, the mute sign went away.
When in
Still
doubt.
can't hear you though, Ted.
When in doubt, reboot.
Yeah.
Yep.
That looked like it might be an outdoor rover part there.
Yeah, I wonder if it was belt drive
I don't know.
or chain drive.
It looked like it was direct drive with the gears built into the motor. And I suspect he got it from that same place that he was mentioning about.
Servo
That's why he
City.
Servo City, and that's why he was showing it. But that's my guess. So hopefully when he comes back, we'll know.
Yeah. Well.
Belt drive, yeah. Do they sell that as a unit, Ted?
Ted, where's Ted? You see him? You mean James?
No, Ted? Yeah, no, I built up the parts. I see a box for Ted, but no actual
okay.
Ted. It's just his.
Outdoor drive built on second wheel.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I kind of, that one 4-wheel drive thing I did, I machined my own parts. It's much easier to go and buy it if you can. So.
Yeah. Machining is like oh, there he is. Say something, Ted. No speaker, no Mikey.
No can hear. Anyway, probably what he showed was much faster and much more precise than anything you can do machining. And so.
God almighty. Oh!
Yeah, this thing weighs too much. Anyway, that's the belt or the chain drives that I did with
Wait a minute.
two right angle motors. But
That's awesome, Ray. That's really
those are
nice.
10-inch wheels,
Yeah.
spline shafts with, or keyed shafts rather. But
That you didn't run that this year.
Nope.
How come?
Well, it was a little difficult to figure out how to turn precisely. I was, had it down for the for differential drive, and The current on the differential drive robot was much less. Like those were maybe somewhere between an amp and a half per motor, whereas they start out at 4 amps and go up. So they're faster, and at the time I only had one small battery. I didn't, I couldn't do either, series or parallel combination to boost it up, and I was concerned it wouldn't last that long. So, but now I have more batteries, so
well, maybe you can find some replacement motors too. Some motors that give you the heft and don't have quite as much a draw. Higher voltage motors is the way to go if you can.
Yeah, the other motors on the differential platform are 22 volt.
Yeah.
And I was running 12, on a 4S pack, so fully charged about 15 or 16.8, I think. So, but they didn't drop that much during competition as far as the voltage. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to build another 4-wheel drive platform using the lower current motors, but instead of differential drive, make it 4-wheel drive or skid steer.
Yeah, I could see that from your last year's performance. That would be. Your weak point was the caster.
Yep.
That was what was hanging you up all the time.
I could say the weak point was the ruts in Steve's lawn.
We're gonna get it ruttier.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Ted, say something. Ted? I don't think he's moving.
Nope. Oh, there
he goes. No. Oh, well.
Giving the Italian symbol for frustration. He's waving his hands. I don't know what's going on here.
Okay. Hey, Jack. Are we ready?
Yeah, I think I can make a short demo, although I'll have to help it out.
All right. Do you make robot sounds when you help it out?
1 second. There's a lot of parts that are old parts that I 3D printed, and I think some of them are broken, and then some of them just need to be redone, it looks like. But give you a good view. So this is the whole course right now, where it will grab the cup, and then there's a syrup dispenser area right here. There's a pump behind the board, but I'm gonna make a stand to hold out this tube right in front of the cup, and then it will go over to the mixing station over there and mix the cup, and then put the cap on, and then press the cap onto the cup.
Okay, cool.
All right. Starts out by calibrating. Oh no. Oh, okay. Ah. All right. One more time. For some reason I'm needing to swap out the old stepper chips that I had too with the new stepper motor driver that I'm using for the vertical axis anyway. There we go. So now it's pumping out the syrup. I mean, hypothetically anyway. And then here, it's gonna mix it.
So where's the water come in?
Well, that will be the coffee machine, which I still haven't bought yet.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, that will be the very last thing I add. So then here it drops the cap. Not sure if you can see, but it just dropped a cap. And then, well,
I see it. I see
there's
it.
more to do, obviously. but-
Literally.
Okay, it's getting closer and closer, Jack.
Yes. All right. It was better a week ago,
Yeah.
but
Well, you have to, you have to take into account demo problems. You know,
Yes.
that always happens.
yes.
That's
Mhm.
neat. You're getting there.
Oh, thank you.
Can you guys hear me yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Surprise, surprise. I have a new microphone, so apparently it's giving me trouble, but after a few reboots, I got it working. So let's see. Yeah, this I was showing you, this is my new outdoor robot. I plan to put this on a swivel so it can rotate up and down. And yeah, it's belt driven. And I don't know what else to say. I was just pointing out because it's Go Builda also.
Okay. Can you show us
So
the
do you have a
drive?
method of tensioning your belt?
I do not have the belt installed yet, so this guy's freewheeling, but that it's the plan anyway, to put the belt inside here, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is that from Servo City, Ted?
From Go Builda, but I think it's the same.
Yeah, that's a Servo City. Sells their product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sell belt tensioners, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So can you buy that as a complete unit, or do you have to buy individual pieces and put it all together?
No, I've been buying the individual pieces and fitting things together.
Yeah. Hey, Ted, hold it up again. So that's smaller than your last robot, isn't it?
Well, yeah, so this is this one's going to be 6 wheels, so I'll have another set of wheels.
Oh, I
on the
got
back.
you. Okay, cool.
And the old one had an issue where it would get stuck on things, on bumps and stuff, so this one should do a little better climbing over because it'll swivel like that.
Are you
Eventually.
going to have more ground clearance, or are you just going to depend on the 6 wheels?
No, yeah, my plan is to just depend on the 6 wheels.
Okay.
I briefly thought about getting larger wheels, but I had these wheels from the last robot and they seemed to work well, so stick
You
with
had
it.
no problem with traction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Cool. Okay.
So is the wheel attached just on one side, or is that a hub that you can't really see well?
So right, this is direct drive here. There's an axle going through, and
okay.
There's a little bit of room in there in the middle there for a pulley.
Sprocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'll put a belt going to the other axle.
Yeah. So what are the diameters of those wheels?
Let's see. Do I have a tape measure here?
5 inch, 6 inch, like maybe 5 inch.
About 5.5 inches.
Yeah. Where'd you get? You got them at the same site?
Yeah, same site.
Okay. Do they have anything in the 8-inch size, Ted?
No, this was the biggest they had on their site.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You know, Scott has these wonderful wheels, but I think they cost like $100 a piece or something. I mean, it just.
Did they?
Yeah. Well, they're probably not 100, but they were darn. Let me put it this way. It made me blink.
Yeah, these were something like $10 each.
Yeah.
That's not
And I
bad.
keep hoping Amazon's going to have some big wheels for sale. Somebody on a size 8, running a rock crawler 8 scale. That would be a nice size wheel, but
Yeah.
they just don't put them on there. You can get, if you want 10 scale, Rover wheels, those are pretty easy to come by, but
Yeah.
the ones that are bigger are tough.
Yeah, I did the same thing and looked around and really couldn't find any like RC wheels. I found some, some like trolley wheels
Hmm.
for like furniture dollies and stuff like that. But
Yeah. And you can see some for lawnmowers. You can get
Yeah.
lawnmower, but they're almost made to be disposable. Because people who buy replacement wheels for their lawnmower, generally speaking, are guys who really use their lawnmowers. They're like lawn crew type people, and they just tear them up, put them on once a week. It's amazing how often they replace their wheels.
Yeah, pretty certain that's what these were, but they were only, I don't know, I think they were $4 each,
Yeah.
and they're like a 10-inch diameter.
Let's hold them up again.
Okay, this is on the other. Okay.
Yeah. So there's going to be a 6-1, 2 motors, 1 per side.
Yeah, well, let's see. It'll be 4 motors. So I'll have I haven't decided. This will probably be the front because I'll have it swivel like this, articulate. And,
Okay. I got you.
Then I have a separate. The other wheels will be attached to the frame.
Hmm. Okay, so it's not going to be like David's 6-wheeler where they're all in a line. You're going to have one that swivels back and forth and one on the back that's
Yeah,
be
that's
by itself.
just there by itself.
Yeah. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, I was trying to come up. I didn't want to do like David Witt did because that's a complicated suspension, and just trying to build all those parts is crazy.
Yeah.
So my idea was kind of look at those, what I call them, rocker bogie type rovers, but and just simplify it and take out the whole rocker part. So I just have the bogie part.
Cool. I'm going to see. I was thinking more probably just I'm thinking of a 4-wheel robot, sort of like what Ray showed. Just with mainly because it's simple, and but like I said, if you get when you start building stuff like that, you know how quickly it escalates.
Yeah.
So anyway, cool. All right, it looks like we're going to have several people for that November contest. It's going to be neat. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anybody else got anything they want to say today or share?
Yeah, I think I might have something here.
Okay. Hey, John.
Yeah, a little off the beaten path here. I was working on improvements to my automated license plate reader camera. And one of the problems I run into with this custom built infrared illuminator module is that the infrared LEDs don't seem to last a long time. About every 3 months, maybe 4 months or so, I'll get one that burns out. And that, if it's just one, it's actually a problem with my design because, let's see, if you see my circuit, what I've got four strings of 7 LEDs. So any one LED in one of these 4 strings that goes out, and the whole string goes out. And it's a pain in the butt because first I have to unseal the box because it's sealed with some waterproofing, with some silicone, and then I have to desolder the LED. So what I've been looking for, I've been having a hard time finding, is nobody sells sockets for LEDs. that I can see. So I finally found something that will work, though, on Mouser. And it's going to be really hard to show, but I'll try to show it. Is these little one?
Oh, socket pins. Yeah.
Yeah, just one. Yeah, they're just one line socket pins, and I found that you can. They work just great for inserting LEDs.
Wow, that's cool.
Back in the through hole days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get a new board design from Oshpart. I've got some newer LEDs that are supposedly have a better spectral response when it comes to illumination for cameras, and so I'll put another one together and see how well that works.
Just thinking.
So are you driving them beyond what you should, or?
Well, I don't think I am. I think, I don't know what the typical life on an LED is. You got this balance. How close do I get to the maximum? I want to get the most brightness out of it, but I don't want to burn them out too early. It's really kind of hard to know exactly where the sweet spot is.
I was wondering, John.
How does that go? You can, burn too brightly and burn yourself out,
Hey, John?
Yeah.
With that design you put up there assumes that all those LEDs have the same voltage drop across each one of them. And that usually requires that there be hand selected. So
Good point.
typically, not all LEDs are created equal. So typically what happens, want to have a higher forward voltage than some of the others, and they get out of their comfort range when the parameters are changed. If you follow me, that design is not really that good of a design where they're all seriesed up like that.
Yeah, I have considered that. And there's a reason why they're strung out like that. But as long as you get all the LEDs from the same batch, and as long as you have enough LEDs in the chain where those voltage differences will average out, it's still a workable design. And the reason I have them in a string like that is because I'm running this off of 12 volts. And I want to get enough, I got to get enough LEDs in there to where it's just under 12 volts across the string. If I was using 24 volts, I'd have more to play with. But yeah, I have considered that. And,
sometimes, John, they put a little resistor in there that's just kind of to help balance out the strings. Each string is 7 LEDs with a small resistor, and
I know it's probably working fairly well, because when I look at it, well, at least when I got it in the dark where you can just see them start to glow.
They don't glow. They all glow.
You can
the
see where
same.
one string is not brighter than the other, so it seems to work fairly well.
Okay.
Do you get when one string goes out, they shouldn't affect the others because they're all the same voltage, right? They just you just drawing less current.
No, there is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is, if he has four parallel strings, and if he loses a string, he's still just got 3 parallel strings, but that doesn't matter because their driving voltage is the same. No, I'm just saying.
On each string,
Yeah.
I would assume so.
Yeah. What I was thinking, though, that might be something to think about. I don't know how much all of that costs, what you just said, but you can buy a small trail camera for $40 now, and that might provide you with a easy way to get a nice, IR thing. And you also get
a trail camera?
Yeah, a small one. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah, John, are those LEDs on all night long, or do you wait to turn them on and do you
I have a way to turn them on and off. I turn them. I have I also got a little board in there for measuring the ambient light, And so when the light drops down to a
Here's
certain
two.
level, I'll turn it on.
Here's two. Get them in here. One of the white. Yeah, two trail cameras, two small trail cameras, and this one is literally palm size. This one's a little bigger. They have PIR sensors, which are great for sensing imbalances in, like people and animals. You wouldn't want that. And they got a camera in it, but it's just a 1040. You probably have a better camera than that.
Yeah,
So,
but this is
but you might want to use
the reason that won't work.
IR
Is
thing.
this is a very
Hold on a
specific
second.
design. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
The
yeah.
reason that probably won't work for me is this is a very specific design. I'm using a high quality camera,
Yeah.
so I can get the resolution I need to read the license plates.
Mm-hmm. Well, no,
So-
I'm not talking about the cameras. You got a better camera than that, but you might want to use like this IR.
Well, you're saying just borrow the
Yeah, I mean-
illuminator.
Well, yeah, and I mean it's $40, and it's not that big a deal, and they're all modular inside. I mean, I've torn one apart, and I'm just saying. I'm not saying you. The nice thing about these is they have no tail, nothing glows red, nothing. I mean, it literally is from a point of view of you looking at it. It's passive. It looks passive. It's actually shining out. They do that so that the animals won't get spooked. But because I had bought one to assist an outdoor camera, and when you looked at it, it had a kind of a dull red light.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
matching the response of the camera to the LEDs is one difficulty as well.
Yeah.
Most of those Raspberry Pi cameras that they sell, especially the HQ cameras, when you remove the infrared filter, the center of their response curve is 850 nanometers.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Most of the LEDs that you can find out there, that you can buy, I'm sorry, but I say 850? No, the center for the camera is 810 nanometers about. Most of the LEDs they sell, almost all of them are 850 nanometers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
or
I
higher,
did-
900
Yeah.
something.
I did just find though, and I ordered some of these. Let's see if we go back to screen sharing. So I can show you what I found. If I can find it. I'll move this out of the way.
Hmm. So, are you just interested in infrared light in the nighttime? Is that what works best, or?
Well, it's day. It operates day and night. So-
Well, I know that, but in the nighttime, when you're using these LEDs, are you just interested in infrared light or visible light?
Well, at night I go infrared because I want to be able to see most license plates are designed to reflect infrared very well.
Okay.
Yeah, Texas plates are all designed to reflect IR.
Say it again. Sorry.
Texas plates are all designed to be IR readable.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was gonna say, have you ever heard of a long pass filter? Just lets you can get them that just let in pretty much most of the wavelengths of infrared. I wonder if that would work better on your camera. Be curious
probably
to
it'd
find
probably be very expensive for one thing. Anyway, so you
Oh,
see this
They're cheap.
this LED that I have here that I'm buying now is it says good spectral matching with CMOS cameras, and I think the reason for that is although you can see here the center wavelength. You can see the center of the wavelength is 850 nanometers, but it's got a fairly gradual drop on the low end
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
of the wavelengths here. So it's still
Yep.
got considerable amount of power falling in around the 810 area.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They're driving that at 30 milliamps. What's the max on that? That seems pretty high.
Well, let's see. I think it's 100 milliamps is the maximum on this. Let's see. Forward current. Yeah, a maximum, absolute maximum is 100 milliamps.
Okay. What do
So-
they say, typical or anything? What do
Uh,
they normally drive
They
on?
never say typical on current.
Okay, well, as long
You never see
as either that or from the curves, you should be able to tell.
No, well,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay, you see they have the power curve there.
Forward current versus voltage.
No, if you keep going up, I think
Well,
there's
yeah.
a power.
If there's one of those, that's a good one to look at.
Yeah, I want to say there was a power curve. I swear I saw it. Oh, there it is.
Power dissipation limit versus ambient temperature. Oh, here, forward current limit versus ambient temperature.
Yeah. So at 20 degrees, so you can go up 45. Well, they're saying 100 milliamps. Well, it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I've never
yeah.
driven them that hard, but I've used high current pulses to drive them. You know, like if you have your little remote from, you never wondered why when you shoot your remote it doesn't matter where you're pointing it always turns your television on. It's because they slam them with a very high current, but it's just pulses, boom 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 boom, so that the average current is within spec.
Yeah, so I'm planning to run these at 60 milliamps.
Okay.
So it's going to be well under the maximum, especially because it's an outdoor box and it might get pretty warm out there. So don't want to overheat it. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the older. That's the older design. But the new ones. Let's see here. Oh, no, wrong one. I missed. Reset. This guy. Okay, I'm running that at 80 milliamps.
It's pushing them to the limit.
Yeah, well.
No, we're just kidding you, John.
Yeah, well, and I can fine tune it. I've got this resistor bank over here for the current limiting.
Yeah.
The reason I got 5 of them in parallel here is it's a fairly low resistance here to get the voltage just right. So I can mix and match several different standard resistors to get the exact resistance that I'm looking for.
And they don't specify anywhere where, like, if you drive it at a certain power level, you expect to get so many, whatever, hours, days of
need
operating
time to
time.
failure?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a spec for that anywhere.
Huh.
There's probably too many variables for them to give you a mean time to failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see that anywhere here.
Of course, if they don't tell you, they get to sell you more LEDs, So.
Yeah, well, it's live and learn, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So this is what, version 2, John? You're going to redo the camera?
Oh no, I'm just redoing the infrared module to see if I can get a better module.
Okay.
One that's easier to maintain, and hopefully one that matches the spectral response curve of the camera a little better as well.
Okay. Have you seen that? Supposedly they came out with a new Pi camera. I'm just curious. Have you?
No, what do you know about it?
Not much, except that they came out. I'm sure it's got more pixels, more everything. Well, wait a minute. No. Excuse me. No, that's not what they did. They came out with a new camera, but the camera itself is the same. It's the lens mount that's different. I think they've made it easy so that the current high quality one you had to use a C mount, if I remember right. Well,
Yeah,
they're
CS.
doing it now. I think they're having an M12 mount, so you can just put standard 12 millimeter lenses on it.
Oh, is that Arducam that's doing that?
No, that's Pi Foundation.
Oh, it is Pi Foundation. Okay.
Yeah. But I would think the C mount would be so much more flexible. I think can't you get you can get what do they call them? Those shutters that flip in your filter and out.
Yeah, that's the matter of fact. The camera I bought was from Articam, and it's got switchable infrared filter in it.
Yeah. That's
Got
cool.
a filter switch. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, when I was playing around with lasers to do, distance measurement or distance estimation, you could get a long pass filter, and they were cheap. It's a small piece of glass. You can get them either rectangular, or circular, and it fit. I found one that fit in the filter switch, and it definitely improved, what you saw. It took out, well, pretty much it just let the wavelengths of the laser through and not much else.
Right, but for something like this, why would you block any wavelengths of light for operation at night?
I don't know. Only if you're getting glare or light reflected off, or lights, I guess, of different wavelengths that weren't reflected off of the license plate, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, for me, it'd be a minimal use to block anything.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
John, I have one question though, because I want to know how you do it. I have people that park out in the front of my yard, and if I remember right, your camera is mounted on the side of your mailbox.
Yeah, it's on the side of the mailbox next to the curb looking up the street.
Yeah, so, how do you keep people from, just parking there and you can't see anything? Do you?
Depends on your neighborhood, I guess.
Okay.
Almost nobody parks on the street in my neighborhood.
Okay, well, we got people that park on ours. So, yeah, my next door neighbor in particular. So, I'm lucky that way.
A few nails out by the curb will fix that.
Probably.
In theory, you're not supposed to park within 20 feet of a mailbox or something like that.
I know. Well, I have complained to them about that, so they just park a little bit further away.
And the post guy should be leaving
The trick
it on
is,
the car.
Yeah.
the trick is paint the curb blue.
Paint the curb blue. Okay.
So
That way it becomes a handicap zone.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So do you just have a shortage of garages in your neighborhood?
No. I got a grandmother and a sister living together, and they just attract, all their grandchildren, all of their kids. They just come, during the day it's fine. There's nobody there, but come the weekends, there's going to be people all over the place. So,
Doug, do you have a sprinkling system?
well, I do. Yes, I do.
Oh, there you go. A car shows up, you turn on the sprinklers.
I doubt it would bother him. That's okay. I'm not trying to complain about him. I'm just saying that I was curious that how he was getting long-term continuous use of his camera without it being blocked, But his answer was fine. Nobody parks on the side of the street in his neighborhood, so he's good.
Some people would say that sprinkler idea is a free car wash.
Yeah, that's right. I'm
Free car
afraid-
wash, yeah.
Yeah. Now you might see him moving it around after a while to try to get the other side.
Yeah, but when that
Yeah,
when that water from the sprinkler system dries, it's not spot free.
Yeah.
That's true. There's a cost for everything, though. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
But once again, that cost is not borne by the owner of the car. It's borne by the owner of the land.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
That's true.
if you're going to use your sprinkler system like that, it's not to get the water on the car. It's to make them run through the sprinkler to get to the car or to get out of
Oh
the
yeah,
car.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sense when the door is open, and then whoosh, you
Yeah,
know,
I see. Instead of having it, have it set up so that instead of detecting license plate numbers, it just detects when people try to park their car there and get into it. Yeah.
Well,
Sprinkler.
that sounds like an opportunity for another robotic project. Just got to get creative, right?
Yeah. 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 There seems
yeah.
to.
There was a tire shop that opened up on 121 out here, and I thought the nails idea. I thought, how do you drum up business? You go sprinkle a few nails out on the highway.
Yeah.
Well,
Get a flat. Hey, look at that! There's a guy that fixes tires right there. So,
well, there was one guy that put an anti-theft system in his truck bed, so that if somebody came up to his driveway at night, he had this some kind of hose system on a pan tilt, and it would detect a moving person, point at him, and spray him.
Yeah. Boy, I tell you what, if you read next door, it's kind of scary, guys. I don't know.
Well,
why? What things have you?
Next door is full of paranoid people.
Yeah, it must be. I mean,
It is.
God, I mean,
I can't count how many times I see a post. Oh, I saw somebody driving through my neighborhood slow, and
yeah,
it's like, okay.
Yeah. But there's some of them that are really, like people coming up to their house at 3:00 in the morning and just looking at the doorbell. I mean, it's kind of like a little weird.
That's true. I mean, nobody
a little
has
weird.
kids going door to door at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You do see those.
Yeah.
So, what do you think they were doing? Trying to see if they had a Ring doorbell or something?
Probably not. They were probably really looking to see if the door was open. You know what I mean? We did. There was one a couple weeks ago where a young girl, was like right there at the porch saying, "Help me, help me, help me! I need to get in. I need to get in." And you never open your door for something like that.
Oh,
because
God, no.
that is a known tactic for people. While you open the door, she jumps in and blocks it from being closed, and then 2 or 3 guys step out of the bushes and run in, and you're screwed. But the answer is, but you all know that there's probably cases where there's a person in true need that would be 3:00 in the morning and be looking for some help. The answer is to immediately just call 911.
Yeah, you call 911. You say, "Stay right here at the door. I'm calling 911 right now." And if they don't stay,
yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Anyway, okay, are we talked out, guys?
Probably.
All right. Well, I'm gonna end the recording here.